Welcome to Guide to Reads. If you've ever dreamed of learning a new language but felt overwhelmed or unsure where to start, you're in the right place. Today, we're exploring Fluent in 3 Months by Benny Lewis, a revolutionary guide that debunks language learning, myths, and provides practical strategies to help you speak a new language quickly. In this introduction, we'll get a sneak peek into the key principles and techniques covered in this transformative book. Benny Lewis, the author, is a renowned polyglot who has learned over a dozen languages, defying the common misconception that some people are just talented at languages. Through his own experiences and research, Lewis challenges the prevailing myths that hold many aspiring language learners back. He emphasizes the importance of setting clear, achievable goals, creating a structured plan, and prioritizing speaking from the very beginning. Lewis also shares effective strategies for mastering new vocabulary, leveraging native speakers, and immersing yourself in the language without leaving your hometown. Whether you're a complete beginner or looking to improve your skills, this book is packed with actionable tips to get you conversational in record time. By following Lewis's guidance, you'll learn to overcome mental barriers, build confidence, and make the most of the resources at your fingertips. So, get ready to embark on an exciting language learning journey. By the end of this exploration, you'll have the tools and inspiration you need to start speaking a new language fluently. Don't forget to subscribe for more insights that can transform your language learning journey. Chapter 1. Language. Learning success means overcoming prevailing myths, ditching vague plans, and setting realistic goals. In this chapter, Benny Lewis tackles the mental barriers that often hold people back from learning a new language. He argues that success starts with just challenging myths, creating a clear plan, and setting achievable goals. Debunking common language learning myths. Lewis begins by addressing the misconceptions that discourage many aspiring language learners. He emphasizes that these myths must be challenged in order to unlock one's full potential for language acquisition. The first myth Lewis addresses is the belief that you need talent to learn a language. However, he argues that language learning is not an innate talent, but rather a skill that can be developed with the right strategies and consistent effort. To support this, he shares his own personal story of struggling with languages in school before discovering methods that worked for him. Another common myth is that you need to live abroad to become fluent. Lewis counters this by explaining that immersion can happen anywhere, thanks to the internet and the ability to connect with native speakers and access authentic materials. He provides the example of how he learned Hungarian while living in Ireland by practicing with native speakers online and consuming Hungarian media. The myth that it takes years to learn a language is also challenged by Lewis. While mastering a language to a native-like level does take time, he asserts that one can achieve such conversational fluency in just a few months with focused effort. He cites his own experience of becoming conversational in Spanish in 3 months by prioritizing speaking and practical vocabulary. Finally, Lewis addresses the myth that adults can't learn languages as easily as children. He argues that adults have advantages, such as better problem-solving skills and the ability to set clear goals. While children may pick up accents more easily, adults can learn languages just as effectively with the right approach. 2. Ditching vague plans. Lewis emphasizes that vague goals like, I want to learn Spanish, are ineffective because they lack direction and accountability. Instead, he advocates for non-specific, actionable plans that provide a clear path forward and make it easier to stay motivated and on track. He explains why vague plans fail. They don't provide a clear path forward, and they make it easy to procrastinate or lose motivation. To address this, Lewis outlines how to create a clear plan. 1. Define your goal. Be specific about what you want to achieve, such as, I want to have a 10-minute conversation in Spanish about my hobbies. 2. Break it down. Divide your goal into smaller, manageable tasks such as learning 10 new words a day, practicing speaking for 15 minutes daily, and completing 1 language lesson per week. 3. Set a timeline. Give yourself deadlines to stay on track, such as, I will learn 300 words in 1 month. Laminan siguro siya. Setting realistic goals. Lewis stresses the importance of setting realistic, achievable goals. To maintain motivation and measure progress, he explains that what makes a goal realistic is that it aligns with your current level and available time, and it's challenging but attainable. Some examples of realistic goals include, I will learn to introduce myself and ask basic questions in French within 2 weeks, and I will have a 5-minute conversation in Italian by the end of the month. Lewis emphasizes the power of small wins, explaining that achieving these smaller goals builds confidence and momentum, and it's important to celebrate these milestones to stay motivated. Jamantor 4 Actionable Tips for Success. To help readers implement these principles, Lewis provides practical advice such as 1. Start with high-frequency words. Focus on the most common words and phrases in your target language, such as greetings, numbers, and basic questions. 2. Use language learning apps. Tools like Duolingo, Memrise, or Anki can help you practice vocabulary and grammar efficiently. 3. Track your progress. Keep a journal or use an app to record the words and phrases you've learned, which helps you see how far you've come and stay motivated. 4. Find accountability. Share your goals with a friend or join a language learning community to stay committed. Dandu. 5. Real-life examples. Lewis provides 2 real-life examples to illustrate the principles he has outlined. 1. A busy professional sets a goal to learn 20 new Spanish words per week and practice speaking for 10 minutes daily. Within 3 months, they can confidently order food at a restaurant and have basic conversations. 2. A student uses language exchange apps to practice speaking with native speakers. By setting a goal of 3 conversations per week, they quickly improve their fluency. Zamusa 6. Common pitfalls to avoid. Finally, Lewis discusses some common pitfalls to avoid, such as Pilates overloading yourself. Trying to learn too much too quickly can lead to burnout, so it's important to start small and gradually increase your workload. Perfectionism. Don't wait until you're ready to start speaking, as mistakes are part of the learning process. Lack of consistency. Language learning requires regular practice, and even 10-15 minutes a day can make a big difference over time. Chapter 2. Learn new words quickly with a couple of easy strategies. Benny Lewis emphasizes that vocabulary is the foundation of language learning. Without a strong command of words, you can't form sentences or express ideas effectively. In this chapter, he shares proven strategies to help you learn and retain new words efficiently. 1. The importance of vocabulary. Lewis highlights the crucial role of vocabulary in language learning. He explains that words are the building blocks of language, and the more words you know, the more effectively you can communicate. He specifically emphasizes the importance of high-frequency words, such as common verbs, nouns, and phrases, as they appear frequently in everyday conversations. By following the 80-20 rule, Lewis suggests focusing on learning the top 1,000 words in a language, which can help you understand up to 80% of everyday conversations. Lamgu, spaced repetition, the key to retention. Lewis introduces the concept of spaced repetition, a learning technique that involves reviewing information at increasing intervals to improve long-term retention. He explains how this method leverages the brain's natural forgetting curve, ensuring that words move from short-term to long-term memory. He provides practical advice on using apps like Anki, Memrise, or Quizlet to create digital flashcards with spaced repetition algorithms, or creating your own flashcards with words on one side and definitions or example sentences on the other. 3. Mnemonics, making words memorable. Lewis delves into the power of mnemonics, which are memory aids that help you associate new words with familiar concepts or images. He provides examples of how to create effective mnemonics, such as using vivid, funny, or exaggerated mental images to make associations stick, or connecting new words to sounds or meanings in your native language. He explains that mnemonics tap into the brain's ability to remember visual and emotional information more easily than abstract facts. 1 through 4. Focus on high-frequency words. Continuing the theme of prioritizing vocabulary, Lewis emphasizes the importance of focusing on high-frequency words, which are the words and phrases used most often in everyday conversations. He provides examples of common high-frequency words, such as greetings, numbers, common verbs, and essential nouns. Lewis advises using frequency lists or language, learning apps that prioritize high-frequency vocabulary, and aligning your focus with your specific goals and needs, but practical tips for learning new words. In this section, Lewis offers a set of practical tips to enhance your vocabulary learning. 1. Learn words in context, rather than memorizing isolated words, to understand how they are used in real conversations. 2. Use flashcards with the word on one side and the definition, translation, or example sentence on the other, and review them daily using spaced repetition. 3. Practice active recall by testing yourself regularly to strengthen memory and improve retention. 4. Incorporate new words into your daily life by labeling objects, using them in conversations, journal entries, or social media posts. Real-life examples. To illustrate the effectiveness of these strategies, Lewis shares 2 real-life examples. The first example is about a learner who uses spaced repetition to master 20 new Spanish words per week, building a vocabulary of over 200 words in 3 months, and enabling them to have basic conversations. The second example is about a traveler who creates mnemonics to remember essential phrases in Italian, such as dove è il bagno? Where's the bathroom? Using a vivid mental image to recall the phrase quickly. Then common pitfalls to avoid. Finally, Lewis cautions readers about common pitfalls to avoid, such as overloading yourself by trying to learn too many words at once, ignoring pronunciation, and neglecting regular review. He emphasizes the importance of focusing on quality over quantity, practicing pronunciation, and making spaced repetition a daily habit to ensure long-term retention of new vocabulary. Chapter 3. Speed up the language learning. Process by interacting with natives without leaving your city. Benny Lewis emphasizes that interacting with native speakers is one of the most effective ways to accelerate language learning. In this chapter, he shares tips for finding language partners, practicing speaking, and immersing yourself in the language without leaving your hometown. 1. Why interaction with natives is crucial. Lewis explains why interacting with native speakers is so crucial for language learning. Speaking with natives helps you learn how the language is used in everyday conversations, including slang, idioms, and cultural nuances. It also provides immediate feedback, as natives can correct your mistakes and provide tips for improving pronunciation and grammar. Engaging in real conversations makes learning more enjoyable and rewarding, keeping you motivated to continue. Finding native speakers in your city. 1. Lewis provides several strategies for connecting with native speakers locally, including joining language exchange meetups, attending language classes or clubs, finding tandem partners, and visiting local immigrant communities. Ito, practicing with natives online. If you can't find native speakers locally, Lewis suggests using online platforms to connect with them. He recommends language exchange apps like Tandem, HelloTalk, or Speaky, online tutoring platforms like italki, Preply, or Verbling, and social media groups or forums, or creating an immersive environment. Even if you're not in a country where your target language is spoken, you can create immersion at home. Lewis suggests consuming media in your target language, changing your device settings, labeling your surroundings, and practicing thinking in the language. And practical tips for speaking with natives. Lewis provides 4 practical tips for speaking with natives. 1. Start small with simple conversations about familiar topics and use phrases like, "How do you say?" or "Can you repeat that?" to learn on the spot. 2. Don't fear mistakes. Natives appreciate your effort and are usually happy to help. 3. Ask for feedback and corrections to improve your pronunciation and grammar. 4. Be consistent and schedule regular practice sessions, even if it's just 15-30 minutes a day. Real-life examples. To illustrate these strategies in action, Lewis shares 2 real-life examples. The first is about a learner who uses Tandem to find a Spanish-speaking partner and schedules weekly video calls to practice speaking and exchange cultural insights. The second example is about a student who attends a local French conversation club and makes friends with native speakers, practicing speaking during weekly meetups and improving their fluency over time. Then common pitfalls to avoid. Finally, Lewis cautions readers about common pitfalls to avoid, such as waiting until they feel ready before speaking, over-relying on text-based practice instead of prioritizing speaking, and avoiding natives out of fear. He emphasizes the importance of starting to speak from day one, embracing mistakes as part of the learning process, and not letting fear hold you back from engaging with native speakers. Chapter 4. Speaking from the start is essential, and even an absolute beginner can find ways to communicate. Benny Lewis argues that speaking is the most effective way to learn a language. Many learners delay speaking until they feel ready. But Lewis insists that this approach slows progress. Instead, he encourages learners to start speaking immediately, even if they only know a few words. Why speaking from day one matters. Lewis highlights 3 key reasons why speaking from the start is essential. First, it builds confidence by helping you overcome the fear of making mistakes. Second, it accelerates learning by forcing you to actively recall words and phrases, reinforcing your memory and improving fluency. Third, it identifies gaps in your knowledge, revealing what you need to learn next, such as new vocabulary or grammar structures. Do how to start speaking as a beginner. Lewis provides practical strategies for beginners to start communicating, even with limited knowledge. The first step is to learn basic phrases, such as greetings, introductions, and common questions. These high-frequency phrases allow you to engage in simple conversations right away. Next, Lewis encourages learners to use what they know, even if it's a small vocabulary. He suggests using gestures, pointing to objects, or combining words to convey meaning. Embracing mistakes is also crucial, as natives appreciate your effort and are usually happy to help. Finally, Lewis emphasizes the importance of practicing with native speakers, whether through language exchange apps, online tutors, or local meetups. Start with short, simple conversations and gradually increase the complexity as you learn more. 3. Practical tips for speaking practice. To further support speaking practice, Lewis offers 4 practical tips. 1. Role-playing. Practice common scenarios like ordering food, asking for directions, or introducing yourself. 2. Shadowing. Listen to native speakers and repeat what they say, mimicking their pronunciation and intonation. 3. Recording yourself. Record your speech and listen to identify areas for improvement. 4. Daily practice. Dedicate 10-15 minutes daily to speaking practice, as consistency is key to building fluency. Enter real-life examples. To illustrate these strategies in action, Lewis shares 2 real-life examples. The first is about a beginner who learns basic Spanish phrases and uses them during a trip to Mexico, gaining confidence through real-life interactions. The second example is about a student who uses italki to practice speaking French with a tutor, starting with simple introductions and questions despite knowing only a few words, and gradually expanding their vocabulary and fluency. 1. Common pitfalls to avoid. Lewis cautions readers about 3 common pitfalls to avoid: waiting for perfection, overthinking grammar, and avoiding native speakers out of fear. He emphasizes that imperfect communication is better than no communication, and that focusing on being understood is more important than using perfect grammar. Additionally, he encourages learners not to let fear of judgment stop them from practicing with native speakers, as most are supportive and encouraging. With the power of small wins. Finally, Lewis highlights the importance of celebrating every small victory, such as successfully ordering food or having a short conversation. These wins build momentum and keep you motivated to continue learning, which is crucial for long-term success in language acquisition. Chapter 5. Become conversational before moving on to more technical aspects. Benny Lewis argues that the ultimate goal of language learning is communication. While grammar and pronunciation are important, they shouldn't overshadow the ability to have real conversations. In this chapter, he explains how to focus on practical communication first and gradually refine your skills. And the one, why conversational fluency comes first. Lewis highlights 3 key reasons why becoming conversational should be the primary focus. First, being able to have conversations allows you to connect with people, navigate daily situations, and enjoy the language in real-world contexts. Second, successfully communicating in your target language is incredibly rewarding and keeps you motivated to continue learning. Finally, building a foundation of conversational skills provides a solid basis to improve grammar, expand vocabulary, and refine pronunciation as you progress. 2. What does conversational mean? Lewis defines being conversational as the ability to handle basic, everyday interactions, such as introducing yourself, ordering food, asking for directions, or discussing simple topics like hobbies and travel. Importantly, he emphasizes that conversational fluency is about being understood and understanding others, not about achieving perfect grammar or an extensive vocabulary. 3. How to build conversational skills. Lewis provides 4 practical strategies for becoming conversational quickly. 1. Learn high-frequency phrases that are commonly used in conversations, such as, "What do you like to do in your free time?" or "Can you help me with?" 2. Practice role-playing, common scenarios to simulate real-life conversations. 3. Use language exchange platforms to practice speaking with native speakers, starting with simple topics and gradually increasing complexity. 4. Focus on listening practice by consuming native-level audio and video content, using subtitles or transcripts to aid comprehension. More practical tips for conversational practice. Lewis also offers 4 practical tips for conversational practice. 1. Start small with short, simple conversations and gradually increase complexity. 2. Don't fear mistakes, as natives will appreciate your effort and be happy to help. 3. Expand your skills gradually by introducing new vocabulary and grammar structures once you're comfortable with the basics. 4. Track your progress by keeping a journal of the phrases and vocabulary you've learned, and celebrate your milestones. 5. Real-life examples. To illustrate these strategies in action, Lewis shares 2 real-life examples. The first is about a learner who focuses on mastering basic Spanish phrases for travel and can confidently navigate various situations during a trip to Spain. The second example is about a student who uses italki to practice speaking French with a tutor, starting with basic introductions and gradually progressing to discussing their hobbies, family, and daily routines. 6 common pitfalls to avoid. Lewis cautions readers about 3 common pitfalls to avoid: overloading on grammar, falling into the trap of perfectionism, and neglecting listening practice. He emphasizes the importance of prioritizing practical communication over technical aspects, embracing mistakes as part of the learning process, and developing both speaking and listening skills. 7. The role of grammar and pronunciation. Finally, Lewis addresses the role of grammar and pronunciation in language learning. He suggests learning basic grammar structures to form coherent sentences, while saving more advanced grammar for later stages. Regarding pronunciation, he advises focusing on being understood rather than achieving a perfect accent, and practicing difficult sounds and intonation patterns gradually. Chapter 6. Adapt to the culture, always keep practicing, and master one language before taking on another. Benny Lewis highlights that language learning isn't just about memorizing words and grammar. It's also about understanding the culture behind the language and staying committed to consistent practice. He also advises against spreading yourself too thin by learning multiple languages at once. Adapting to the culture. Lewis emphasizes that language and culture are deeply intertwined. To truly master a language, you need to understand the cultural context in which it's used. He explains why cultural knowledge is important, as it helps you understand idioms, humor, and social norms, making conversations more meaningful and helping you connect with native speakers on a deeper level. Lewis provides several suggestions for how to immerse yourself in the culture, such as consuming media, reading books and articles, celebrating traditions, and learning about etiquette. He shares a real-life example of a learner studying Japanese who watches anime, reads manga, and practices bowing as a greeting. which helps them understand the language in context and connect with native speakers. 2. The importance of consistent practice. Lewis underscores that language learning is a skill that requires regular practice to maintain and improve. He explains why consistency matters, as it reinforces what you've learned, prevents forgetting, and builds momentum to keep you motivated. To stay consistent, Lewis recommends setting a daily routine, using language learning apps, and incorporating the language into your daily life. He provides a real-life example of a busy professional who sets a goal to practice Spanish for 20 minutes every morning, using a combination of flashcards, podcasts, and conversation practice to maintain their consistent practice. 3. Mastering one language before taking on another. Lewis advises against learning multiple languages at the same time, especially as a beginner. He explains that focusing on one language provides a strong foundation for learning others in the future, and spreading yourself too thin can lead to confusion, slower progress, and burnout. Lewis outlines the signs that indicate when you're ready to start learning another language, such as achieving conversational fluency in your first language, feeling confident using it in real-life situations, and having built a strong habit of consistent practice. He shares a real-life example of a learner who focuses on mastering French before starting Spanish, using the same strategies to become fluent in the second language. Practical tips for cultural immersion and practice. To support cultural immersion and consistent practice, Lewis provides 3 practical tips. 1. Set cultural goals to learn about the history, traditions, and values of the culture associated with your target language. 2. Join cultural communities, both locally and online, to engage with native speakers and learn about their customs and perspectives. 3. Track your progress by keeping a journal of the cultural insights you've gained and the milestones you've achieved in the language. 1. Common pitfalls to avoid. Finally, Lewis cautions readers about 3 common pitfalls to avoid: neglecting culture, inconsistent practice, and overloading themselves by trying to learn multiple languages at once. He emphasizes the importance of embracing the cultural aspects of language learning, making language practice a daily habit, and focusing on mastering one language before starting another. Final summary: Sonda Fluent in 3 months is a game changer for anyone looking to learn a new language quickly and effectively. Benny Lewis's approach is practical, motivational, and rooted in real-world experience. By debunking myths, providing actionable strategies, and emphasizing the importance of speaking from day one, Lewis empowers readers to take control of their language learning journey. Fluency is within reach for anyone willing to put in the effort. Focus on communication, embrace mistakes, and practice consistently. Whether you're learning for travel, work, or personal growth, this book offers tools to help you achieve your goals. Ready to start speaking a new language? Pick a language, set a goal, and begin practicing today using the strategies from Fluent in 3 months. If this summary inspired you, grab a copy of the book and take the first step toward fluency. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Guide to Reads for more transformative book insights. Remember, the best time to start is now.